Atma Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you guys are doing very well. As usual, first I start with my thanksgiving to you for the subscription, for the likes, and for the shares. Thank you so much. This is our third video on our hypnotherapy. Okay, the first video we discussed about general what is hypnotherapy, and we discussed about the soul, body, and mind. So you all are very clear now. The soul's journey is permanent. Okay, it keeps taking different shapes in different places and acquiring different bodies, but the soul is the same. It's a permanent journey for the soul. And then the mind. Okay, so we spoke about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind. And what happens when you carry certain unfinished agenda of your past, which comes back into your life as your karmic baggages. Okay, so this is what so far in the last two videos we have discussed it. So today we go into the therapy. So the soul has taken a rebirth, the mind got attached to that, and the body is there. There are certain things which happen in your either in your current life or in the past life, which comes back to us and haunts us in some form or other. I'll give you a small example. Many of us, in our language, we call it inner children. Though most of us are adults, or those who are watching are adults, there is always a lot of inner children inside. When I say inner children, please don't get confused with the saying that there is a baby in all of us. There is a child in all of us. We have to always bring out the child. No, I'm not talking about that. As a therapist, I have to bring out the inner child in you and cure the inner child's problem and then put it back inside. That's a different one. We'll discuss it. So this inner child, what I'm talking about is something which could have happened in our life at a very young age or at even a later stage. That time, due to the lack of understanding or the wisdom, it gets stuck inside. When I say lack of understanding, it could be anything. A deep rooted issue, a deep scar. It could be anything. So that time, since the wisdom was not there to understand the root cause of that, it goes and gets stuck inside. So what happens when something is stuck inside? It keeps popping up. Whenever a similar situation arises, it keeps popping up. And when it keeps popping up, it creates turbulence inside you. When there is a turbulence inside, as there is no scope of venting it out, it gets stuck inside and then creates physiological issues. Okay, got it? So how I have to simplify that? For example, somebody was not able to enjoy his flight. It's a classic example. It's a very live example. A very close friend and an ex-colleague of mine. He was, whether it was an hour's flight or it was a 10-hour flight or a 15-hour flight, this fellow couldn't sleep at all in the flight. The moment he gets into the flight, the moment it takes off, it is airborne, gone. However tired he was not able to sleep at all. So, a few drinks down, some wine, some beer, nothing, fine. You get high, but no sleep. It's disturbed. Not even 5 minutes of sleep. And when you get down next day morning, next one day you are like a zombie. Nothing gets registered. So you are losing your time. So he went and consulted doctors, medical doctors, and every form of doctors. And people have been giving medicines. But even after a sleeping pill, the sleep was still elusive. And someone told him, why don't you go to a psychologist or psychiatrist? He did that also. But again, they're all textbooks, right? So they went through the whole textbook knowledge And they said, okay, you do this, you do that, take this pill, take that pill. So he did everything. He's a very nice guy. He tried everything because he wanted to sleep during his flight, because he was a very frequent flyer. But nothing worked. Finally, through his wife, he came to know about this hypnotherapy. He went and consulted a therapist and few sessions. And finally, please, when I say this, I'm giving you as an example. But don't think for every issue, the cause would be the same. In his case, the cause was this. But not in everyone's case, the cause would be the same. So it is not like I have a headache, I'll take a Sariram. No. We have to figure out what is the cause. That's why this therapy is. So after a few sessions, he was able to travel back in his life and to his past life. And there, in one of his past lives, he started narrating his story. He was taking a fighter jet, and the fighter jet gets shot, crashes, and he pops off. Okay, that past life memory was still in his subconscious mind. So whenever he was flying, the subconscious mind starts giving vibes like this. Starts telling him there is something going to happen to you. So his conscious mind keeps him in full alert sense. So sleep started eluding him. Once he went through this, there was a kind of release we do, and he relived and released it. Then he became all right. He is now flying across the globe and he's fine. I'm giving you this example. This is not as easy as it could have sounded to you, because someone who has gone through the therapy, someone who has done the therapy, they only know how, I wouldn't say difficult, how deep rooted, or how one has to take a deep dive to figure out what was the cause and how that could be released from his system. Okay, as I already said, the subconscious mind is read-only file, but we have to manage the subconscious mind in such a way that these kind of things are kind of released from the deep-rooted storage. So what happens in many of the things is like people immediately ask me, so do you do past life therapy? I mean, there's nothing called past life therapy. If you see somebody claiming, I am a past life regression therapist, please don't even go to him. There is nothing like that. When you regress, wherever the regression takes you, mostly it is current life. When we say it is all inner children. And then if there is nothing, what you are suffering from is related to your current life, then the journey takes you to different levels. And one of them could be past lives. So keep that in mind. A small analogy on this. See, for example, one day you go to a shop and you buy something and you have to pay, and you take your wallet and suddenly you figure out your credit card is missing. So what you immediately start thinking is, what happened to my credit card? Where did I leave it? Then you start going back in your memory. You start going back in your memory to figure out what happened in the last 24 hours, or in the last 12 hours, or in the last 10 hours, or last 5 hours. Then somewhere you get idea, okay, yesterday or today morning I did this transaction, I must have left it there. So you travel back. You understand? Something happened to you, you really have to figure out. So you travel back in your memory. And wherever that memory takes you, it takes you to home where you have done some transaction on an online transaction. Then you go home and look at on your table and you find your credit card. Correct? This is current life. The issue is that you travel back, you figured out, you got your credit card. Over. So you go back and you don't find the credit card on your table. Then you start breaking your head. What did I do? What did I do? Where did I leave it? And then you start further going back. Start thinking, where all I visited, what all I did. And That is what is past life. When the solution is not figured out in this current life, the travel happens with the help of the therapist in differently. It keeps on going back and back and back and back till the time the issue is captured, the issue is then relived and released. So it is relived and released. Now you got it? So it's a very simple, understandable example of this credit card issue. So many of the issues what people face today are current life, and most of them are inner children. Inner children is a huge subject. We all have inner children inside us. That inner child keeps popping up, and then we have to get the inner child out, make it to understand what happened then may not be relevant now, and then with that understanding you put it back inside, and then the inner child goes back completely peaceful. Okay, so we will discuss it more. So just gave you an example of this. So in this hypno regression therapy, it is all about how we relive, understand, go through the experience, figure out what has to be done with that experience, how do we release it, come back to normalcy. Sounds easy, but it's not easy. Reliving and releasing is the most difficult thing. Many people relive, but they don't release it. They don't let go. So next video, we'll discuss more about how do we relive, how do we release. And also next video, we will talk about energy exchange. What is energy exchange means in therapy term. Till then, enjoy yourself, keep safe, live your life, but at the same time, please follow all the protocols advised by the government, and God bless you and God bless our country. Atma Namaste.